Hello, welcome to Ideas in Action Going Digital, number 13. Well, it's been an interesting 2 years on the subject of automation and digital transformation. Where are we by September 2024? Well, I'm going to give an answer to that. And where we are is people are focused less on digital transformation. About 20% of organizations in virtually most sectors have been doing digital transformation, but the vast majority have been focusing much more on the cost base, which has transformed what they do in terms of digital from digital transformation into what I will call digital cost transformation. And today I'm going to explain how we got there, and then I'm going to give 9 rules for digital cost transformation that people can usefully follow in order to save themselves millions of dollars, pounds, whatever, and establish a solid base for later digital transformation. So you will see a summary of the major points of a London School of Economics Knowledge Capital Partners study we did from January to August 2024. And I make several points here by way of summary, just as a background to getting into the 9 rules for digital cost transformation. The first one is, as you can see, with automation and digital technologies, massive value is being left on the table. Potentially, you can get 200% or more value in terms of efficiency, 500% in terms of effectiveness, and possibly 10 times more from enablement. But even the digital leaders that are successfully doing digital transformation still are only realizing 2/3 of the potential value that they could. So there is a big value gap there in terms of what is being left on the table. The second point that emerges from our study is that automation itself has not been very strategic, and it has been very piecemeal, with very limited objectives. Very often when we go into organizations, we see at least 2/3 of those clients having very few RPA robots, for example. There has been some acceleration in this year. The main focus, however, is on improving efficiency, unstructured data capture, focusing on business analytics, and improving customer experiences. It's still a very small market, is automation, as you can see on the figures there, which might explain why the market has seen much AI washing, artificial intelligence washing, trying to oversell the automation by calling it AI very often when it isn't, overstating its capabilities, and using terminology that is causing much confusion and which might actually be inhibiting purchasing. The next slide, point 4 from our study, it is very true that digital transformation is difficult. Very often people go back to calling what they are doing digital transformation rather than doing digital transformation as defined in the textbooks. Some organizations, 15 to 20%, are doing quite well linking automation with digital transformation. That's not a very high figure. There is quite a high failure rate on digital transformation projects, which is dissuading lots of people from getting into this in a serious way. There are major challenges. There's no doubt about that. We've documented that in our books, and we hear about it all the time when we go into clients. What we find is that only 25% of the problems are technological, 75% are organizational and managerial. You have to prioritize digital, make it number 1 choice. You need digital core capabilities. Later on, we'll talk about that. the siloed organizational structures are holding organizations back here. And there are a lot of what I would call under the radar issues. The 6 points is that it's very difficult to get started as a result, and organizations are under tremendous cost pressure, with markets being quite variable across the major economies and their major sectors. The way forward does involve trade-offs, but what we're going to focus on is something that you all should be doing as companies or as organizations in the public sector, which is digital cost transformation. Now, I thought about this in great detail, and I worked up 9 rules for digital transformation. And I'm going to go through those very quickly to sketch out what you could be doing in order to save yourself millions of dollars, pounds, euros, whatever your denomination is. And I'm going to start in this particular presentation with just rule 1. When you come to digital, I actually think for digital applications, there should be a digital rule, which I would call a 90-10 rule. The idea is to focus on the relatively few applications that give disproportionate benefit and advantage. My phrase here is focus energizes digital purpose. Now I'm going to look at a diagram now, navigating 4 digital domains, which will help you to focus on the truly strategic digital applications. And I'll do that by saying that there are actually 4 agendas you could adopt relative to digital. The first one is one that you should studiously ignore. It's the digital hype that is so rife at the moment, represented by the phrase AI. This is the domain, the agenda of management consultants, suppliers, the media. The media seem to talk only about 2 types of digital, either massive successes, runaway successes that are going to change, transform the world, or complete failures, disasters, catastrophes. That's the way that the media actually attract people to stories. You want to avoid all of that and decide which technology is in the hype domain. The second agenda you want to avoid is the technology vendors, the technologists' agenda. Technologists love technological capability. And there is a massive amount of digital capability. Gen AI, for example, is only the most recent demonstration of the prowess of these digital technologies. However, these are usually what I would call digital solutions in search of a business purpose. Are they relevant to your business purpose is the key question here. Most often they are not, and what you find is technologists trying to make them relevant somehow, resulting in a lot of misfits. You want to avoid that agenda. The third agenda is probably the most pernicious and dangerous of all, is the useful digital capability. A child of 6 can make a rational case, business case, for buying more technology for the child of 6. And when you get into organizational politics, those with power in organizations continually make rational, purposeful decisions about adopting more and more technology. And the amount of technology that you could adopt is infinite. The problem is that this technology serves a purpose, but it's not a strategic, critical purpose. It can very often be more or less a distraction or provide only a bump along the bottom kind of usefulness at profit or cost-cutting level. You want to avoid that agenda as well and focus on what I call the strategic agenda, the relatively few applications that give disproportionate payoff, short-term and long-term. And in doing that and adopting what I call the digital rule of 90-10, you immediately will achieve very large cost savings. That's my rule one for digital cost transformation. In the next presentation, we'll look at rules 2 and 3. See you then.